How's it going, everyone? In today's video, we're going to be taking a look at one of Python's newest and unreleased features coming in Python 3.15. This feature is known as Unpacking in Comprehensions and is part of PEP 798. Also, for today's video, I'll be using Z, the code editor, to show you some quick examples from the documentation. If you feel like trying out Z, I've left a link in the description box down below where you can download it for free. Anyway, the first thing we're going to do is take a look at some basic examples of what the new unpacking syntax will help us with. These examples are taken directly from the python.org documentation, and I'll be leaving a link to this documentation in the description box in case you're curious about reading more. So imagine you have a list with nested lists, such as this one. If you wanted to flatten this list using a list comprehension, or if you wanted to unpack these, you'd have to create a list comprehension like this. Here we get X for L in lists for X in L. And what this does is unpack the elements from each one of the lists and flattens it into a single list. Now with the new Python 3.15 syntax, we'll be able to unpack the lists directly, shortening the comprehension to this. And all we had to do here is use the unpacking syntax, which is quite convenient. It's not the biggest change in the world, but it allows us to use our unpacking syntax knowledge to further shorten our code without hurting readability. The syntax will also work for set comprehensions. So instead of writing X for S in sets for X and S, we're going to be able to shorten that to print unpack S for S in sets. Then for the dictionary comprehension, we can use the double asterisk. So instead of writing key value for D in dictionaries for key value in dictionary items, we can just write double asterisk D for D in dictionaries. And finally, we can use this new syntax with generator comprehensions. So instead of printing X for L in lists for X in L, we can directly shorten that to asterisk L for L in lists. Note that I'm using parentheses this time, which turns it into a generator comprehension. The docs state that this new syntax is a direct alternative to nested comprehensions. It's also an alternative to itertools.chain and itertools.chain from iterable. I'm honestly really excited to use it as soon as it becomes available. I already tried downloading the 3.15 alpha version, and unfortunately, I couldn't get these examples to run. As you can see, I'm getting a syntax error as soon as I try to run the examples from python.org. And I'm running this in Python 3.15 Alpha 5. So hopefully they bring an update to the alpha version that works with this syntax, because I'd love to start using it immediately. There are also plenty of examples from PEP 798 where this new syntax could be useful. Here's one of the many examples they had, which I ended up modifying into a working example. So for this example, I'm going to import itertools, path, and sequence from typing. And here I'm going to create some names, which are going to be of type sequence. And this sequence will contain path objects. We then will define a function that returns an iterable of parent directories for a given path. This function will be called getParents. It will take a path object, and it will return a sequence of paths. And finally, we can map the names to our function to get a list of parents. And since that returns a map object, we're going to have to convert it into a list. And as soon as we run this, we get back a list of parents, which isn't really that useful for us right now. So what we're going to do is take this a step further and use itertools chain from iterable to flatten this list into something we can understand. Now, when we run this, what we're going to get back are the paths from the parents. And while there's nothing wrong with this approach, it's still going to be ultra convenient to be able to change this to asterisk getParents for name in names. This is just so much shorter, and it doesn't even require an import. And this also opens up a world of opportunity for us. Now, instead of writing the longest one-liner in the world, I'll be able to keep it short and concise without hurting readability. Although I'm sure a lot of devs will disagree with that, since every time there's something new in Python, they tend to complain that the language is becoming more and more unreadable. All I can say to that is read the docs and stay updated with the latest Python updates, and the unreadable Python code will suddenly become readable. And again, what's nice about this approach is that I can directly insert it into this list constructor, which means I can remove both of these if that's what I want to do. It's going to become that simple. Also, in case you're curious about the other examples of where this can be used, I'll leave a link to PEP 798 in the description box as well, so you can dive into it and explore it. Under PEP 798, you'll find a section called Code Examples that shows you a lot of cool places where you can use the new syntax. And these are mostly just suggestions, which, as you can see, will save you a couple lines of code without really hurting readability. Anyway, that's really all I wanted to cover in today's video, so do let me know in the comment section down below what you think about this feature. Otherwise, with all that being said, as always, thanks for watching and I'll see you in the next video.